Hello everyone, and welcome back to another of my video tutorials using Microsoft Office 2019 Office Suite. This lesson we'll be looking at Microsoft Word 2019 again, and in this lesson when we're using this word processing software part of the Office Suite, we're going to be looking at several different items. We're going to look at how to insert a shape into your document. Once you have those shapes, maybe you want to add some text to those shapes. When you insert objects into your document, how to delete those objects, rotate those objects, maybe take a shape and add an outline to it. We'll also look at applying different shape effects. We'll also look at inserting pictures, whether it be from the online source that Microsoft provides, or if you have a local file that you want to use as a picture object, we'll look at that as well. And then once you've inserted a picture object into your document, how to resize that, as well as looking at how to add a border to your picture if you choose, just adding various aesthetics to your objects. We'll also look at how to move an object around, such as creating it as a floating object in front of other items, and then how to change the position of objects in your document. We'll also briefly look at tab stops, how to set those, how to remove them. We'll also look at using the automated feature of inserting date and time into your documents, how to insert a table. Once you've inserted a table, putting data into those table, and then if you've got a table you no longer need, how to delete a table. We'll also look at how to use what can be a tricky feature for some people, and that's to use the Format Painter. A lot of people struggle with this for some reason, so hopefully we'll make it simple enough that it's be inherent to you whenever you do this. Even if it's 2 years from now, you still know how to use the Format Painter object to save yourself time and effort from having to redo formatting without having to go back and click everything again. Just go ahead and let Word do the work for you to use that format that you've already created. Then we'll look at the Smart Art features, how to insert Smart Art and change the Smart Art colors to something that's more aesthetically pleasing or it fits the theme of your document. Let's go ahead and jump into a example document and apply these skills. Here we have a sample document. This is a sample business letter I've created with a company logo and all the basic features you need with a business letter. You see we have the letterhead, we've got the body of the work, we have the addresses, we have the date and time. Well, with this format we only have the date. The time isn't really necessary on a business letter typically. We have the greeting, we have the salutation at the bottom. So just a very basic letter. And we've also included some elements such as a table in here. Let's go ahead and take a look at adding some more to this very basic business letter, just to introduce some of the topics I mentioned earlier. So the first thing we want to do is let's insert a shape. We'll just pick a spot and insert a shape just so we can see how to do it, and we'll apply some changes to that. So for this document, we'll just put one down here near the bottom. Let's just say we'll add this after our table. I'll click here, add a couple lines, just so we have some room to work with. So I'll put my insertion point here, and we'll just pick a shape. To do so, we're going to go to the Insert tab. Once we are here, we're going to go to the Illustrations group, and here in the Illustrations group on the Insert tab, you can see that we do have a Shapes button. If we click on the Shapes button, we'll display the Shapes gallery. So we'll click that to expand that, and now you see we have various shapes that we can insert onto our document. Some of these are very common shapes that you may want to use for illustrating concepts or points. Some just may be for simple like adding a text box. So if you just want to add a rectangle, or if you want to add a circle for a basic text box, you can do that, or even on arrows, hearts, different objects. Let's say for this one we want to emphasize that we're going to have a no smartphone policy during the training. So we're going to scroll through here and we'll see that we have this not allowed symbol. We're going to add that. We're going to click on it here in the gallery, and then we're going to position our cursor and draw the size that we want the shape to be. So we can reshape this at any point. You can see I can do it like that. Now you can see that the position of this is actually in front of the text, and I can change that here in my layout options. You can see right now it's in front of text. We have different options, so if we want square, tight, through the object, behind the text, we do it behind it, we can actually see our text, so it's actually layered behind the actual text, and then we can move this accordingly. If we like the shape, then we can just move our insertion point and add some more white space. So let's move that there. Now we can see that this is all by itself. Now to add some text to this, I'm just going to simply click in it and start typing. And we said we were going to say that no smartphones are allowed. So we start typing in smartphones, and we'll take a look, and we can see that we can barely see that. So we can now highlight our text and make changes to it with our text dialog box that pops up. We know the color is just terrible, so let's just make that a red. Now we can actually see it, and let's just say we want to make it a little bit bigger. Well, then we also want to make our image bigger. So if we click on our image, we can make it a little bit bigger. And now we can actually see the word smartphones and that we do not want to allow smartphones. Now we can do some other things with this object as well using the Drawing Tools Format tab. So if we click on that, we see we have other options. Let's say we want to add an outline. With our outline, let's say we want to change the color of the outline from this grayish color to something that pops out a little bit more. We can hover over them and see which color we like for what we're doing. And if we have organizational colors, we may want to go with those, because we can change all of the colors. We can change the color of our shape fill. Let's say we don't like that green and we want to go to a blue color, and we don't like the green, so we could change the green of our outline. We can do that as well, and just try to match whatever colors the organization or theme of your document is. And we're just playing around, so I'll just select an orange here so that we can easily see our outline. While we're here in the outline, we can also change the weight of the outline. Let's say we want it to be a heavier outline so we can more emphasis on the outline. You can see as I go down through here, we definitely see a size difference in the border of our outline or the border of our shape. So that is some basics of that, and if we wanted to get rid of this object, we decided we didn't need it in there, we could just simply, while it's highlighted, we could delete it. Another thing we can do is we can move our shapes around. If I click outside, now click on the object, and you see how my cursor turns to 4 arrows, I can reposition this very easily doing that. I can also use the arrange group here, align it, we can go left, we can go right, we can center in our document. We can also change the size here in the size group, so there's a lot of availability of tools that we can use for making sure our object here is aesthetically pleasing and fits our document using the Drawing Tools Format tab. While we understand what the basic shapes are, if we personalize them, it will create more emphasis and not look like we just used very basic skills for our documents. But we also don't want to overdo our document either, so make sure you know your audience when you're making changes. Alright, now let's take a look at another feature here with the shape effects, and once again here on our Drawing Tools Format tab, here in our Shape Styles group, we have Shape Effects, and you can see we have we can make it glow, we can hover over those. As you hover over it, you will see the changes. Let's say we wanted to add a shadow. You can see as I hover over that, right now there's no shadow, but here in the background you'll see a shadow, gray shadow, when I hover over these. It kind of gives it that 3D feel. So there's different options you can choose here, and you can see here this gives it another perspective, like a shadow underneath it. So using the shape effects can create even more emphasis. And as I said, if we decide we don't like this, we can just simply hit the delete button on our keyboard and the shape's gone. Let's say instead we wanted to insert a picture. from an online picture. We're going to go to our Insert tab once more. And in our illustrations group, once again, we see Pictures or Online Pictures. Pictures tab will allow us to insert a picture that we have stored locally, whether it's on a flash drive or on our storage space on our actual computer. Or we can go to the online pictures here. We'll use this example. And this comes from a variety of online sources. And we can just simply type in what we're looking for, choose what we want, and then insert it. Since Microsoft has their own search engine, Bing, that's why you'll see that it will use Bing to look for what we're looking for. And let's just say we type in here "not allowed" and let it search Bing for images that we want to insert. When your images come up, you'll see what they look like, and you can also see there's more details here. I know this no sign from Wikipedia is one that I actually want, so I'm going to click on it to select it, insert it, and it will get downloaded and then insert into my document. Then we can use our tools that we've already used to like reshape and resize, and where we want to put it we can move it around. You can see here I would need to change it because I want this to be in front of the text, and I want to reposition it here. And if I want, I could do the same thing to find an image of a smartphone, and I could insert that smartphone. I could lay that picture on top of here. If I wanted to rotate it, when you select an object, you can then grab the rotation handle here, move it around. Let's say we want an oblong look. We can do that. We can crop an image here in the picture format tools box here. We can crop the shape if there's something in there we didn't want. Lots of different things we can do there. So just know that you have the ability to move the images around, crop them, resize them, whatever you need to do. So you can make this your own and make sure that it fits the purpose of why you're putting an image into your document. So the ability to take this and move it around is what we call a floating object. Alright, so I'm done with this object. I've decided I don't want it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and we'll move on to the next topic we're going to talk about, and that's tab stops. And tab stops allow a alignment ability for customized spacing in our documents. You have a default tab stop of 1/2 inch, and when I say 1/2 inch is because that's where it's going to come out on the ruler. So here's the edge of our document. If we go to type a statement in here, this is just a sample line, and I go back to the beginning of that, so I use the home button there, and I hit the tab button. The default tab that's on this current document is set to 4 inches. You can see there is my left tab stop. Well, if I don't like that, I can make changes to it. Now let's take a look at how we do that. So one of the best ways to do this is to go here on our home tab. We're going to go to the paragraph dialog box launcher here in the paragraph group. So we're going to click on the paragraph dialog launcher, and down here at the bottom left here on our indents and spacing, we'll see that there's the tabs button. We'll click the tabs, and as I said, our one for this is at 4 inches and it's left. Now we can change that. We could change this to 1.5 inches. So let's say we clear this, hit OK. You see that gets brought back to the 1/2 inch, the default. If you remember from the paragraph dialog box there, default tab stop is 0.5, so 1/2 inch. Well, let's say we want, I'll hit the backspace, we want it to be at 1.5 inches for this line. So we're going to hit the paragraph dialog launcher box, go to tabs, and we're going to put in where we want it to be. So we'll put 1.5. We'll have to set that to make sure that it gets accepted. Then once we are done, and we want that to be automatically done, we hit OK. Now with our cursor position at the beginning of the sentence, we hit the tab button on your keyboard, and that will go to 1.5 inches as indicated by the tab stop there. And to get rid of these, if you're like, oh, I don't know why I did that 1.5 inch, you can simply drag this and drag it off of the ruler, and it's gone. You can see it made the line go back to the default 1/2 inch position. So maybe you open up a document that someone else has created and the tab stops just don't make sense. That's a quick and easy way to remove those. Or you can go in and clear those in here. You can go and clear all. So that's just a little bit of information about tab stops. Let's go back up here in our document. You can see where I have the date at. Well, let's say that date is in the future. Well, we're going to send it out today. Well, maybe we want to change that. So the way we do that is we go into our Insert tab. Here in the Insert tab, we're going to look for a very simple way of doing this using the built-in feature from Microsoft, and that's to go down to our text group, and we have lots of different options here. One of these is we want to add a signature line to our document. We could do that. We could explore different quick parts. You can see that we can add some word art here, but right here is the one we're looking for, date and time. So always explore your options on the tabs and in the group so that when you need to use them, it'll trigger something in your mind. You'll be able to find those a lot faster. So we know the insert date and time is text that we want to insert into our document, but that Word has got automated for us. So we're going to click this, and here we can change the format that we're currently using. If we wanted to include time, you can see we could choose this date with the time here. And if we want to include seconds, we could select this one. And regardless of what we use, and we'll just say, let's change this to where we have the day, the date, and the year. We're going to select that. And then we want it to update automatically so that whenever we open the document or print, it's going to be the current date and time. If I hit update automatically, hit OK, now our current day of the week, the date, and the year is inserted. Now if we wait 2 years and open this on the exact same day, it would be on a Monday, June whatever that date is, 2022. So that's how you do a date and time, and how to make it automatically if you desire that. Another option that I've already created here, but we can do another one, is to insert a table. And once you know the size of table you need, how many rows and how many columns, then it makes this much easier. So before you go putting a table in, you need to kind of draw it out in your mind or write it out as to what all columns you're going to have and how many rows you want. Now you can add and delete later on, but if you know what you want to put in the front end, it makes it much easier. So I'm just going to get rid of the sample line that we don't like, and we're going to insert a table. You can see here on the Insert tab, I have a tables group. I click on table, and now I can draw out my table. So I just want one thing there. Well, that'd be a very silly table. Let's say I'm going to have a 4x4 table. That's how that would look. As you are moving your mouse over it, it's going to create it for you. We'll just keep one simple. We'll just make this a 3x3 table. And let's say we want to put the cost of these training. So we're going to, you can see we have an insertion point that's flashing there. Let's say we're going to put the activity. We can hit the tab key on our keyboard, or we can use our mouse, or we can use the arrow keys to move to the next group. So I'm going to use the tab button, and we're going to put let's see how long. So we'll put duration, and we'll put cost. So that's our header row, and we can make changes to it like you saw that I did up here, so that we can clearly see that that is what our row is. It's our header row. Below that, we'll just put in Word Basics, and then we'll put duration 8 hours, and the cost of that is $400. Then we'll say the Word Advanced is we'll say that is 6 hours. And the cost of that is $600. So I've got a basic table. Now I can do things like selecting this, and I can say this is bold. I want that to be a little bit larger. I could do the same thing here. And the shortcut you do for that to do the formatting that you just used is your F4 key on your keyboard, and that'll apply whatever your previous formatting was. You see, it'll only do one. I need to add the bold to these, so we'll only take the last actual formatting option you use. So now we have that. Well, let's center this. So one thing we can do is come outside of that, put our mouse so it's pointing towards the row itself, and then we can come up here into our text dialog box and hit the center button, and you can see that it will center the text inside each of those individual cells of only that row. Well, let's say we want to do something else. Let's say we want to change the style of what we have here. So we're going to change the style of our table. We come up here to our Table Tools Design tab because we're working on the design. And if we come up here to our Table Styles More box here, we drop this down, and we're going to add some color to it. We know we're using blue, so we're going to keep with the blue. And here we've got it tells us exactly what it is. Grid Table 5 Dark, Accent 5. That looks good. It keeps with the blue theme. We have alternating rows here. So our table has some, it's more appealing. And we can do the same thing. We can center these, we can move them around. Let's say we decide we don't want this table at all. We can simply select the table here. Table selected, we hit the delete button. And that just cleared it. Sorry, delete table, it's gone. And then we can get rid of any of this spacing we use, but we want to do one last thing, or a couple things here. And let's say we want to use the Format Painter button. I'm a big fan of the Format Painter button. Let's type in some sample text here. And we'll type in another sample text sentence. Alright, let's say we're going to apply some formatting to this. And we're going to use, we want red text, bold, italicized with a font size of 14, and we want to use a font type of Algerian. Well, let's say we want to duplicate that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Format Painter button that's up here on our Home tab in the Clipboard group. So this is a very easy thing to do. Let's just say I'm going to use the same format I use here. It doesn't matter if I select one letter or the whole word or whatever. I've got a portion of it selected. I'm going to hit the Format Painter button, and you'll see when I come away from that and I get into my body of my text here, I now have like a paintbrush. Well, I'm going to hold down the mouse and put that over whatever I want. I want the whole sentence here, so I'm going to click and drag the whole sentence, let go, and all of the formatting that I did has been applied there. And I could just put it to one letter or one word, just whatever you select. And then there's some advanced usage of this too, where you can hit the control button and apply that in multiple locations as well. So that is how we use the Format Painter button. So don't be scared to use that, and it will save you a ton of time. Alright, so I'm going to do away with all of this. So I've deleted that. I'm going to hit backspace, so I'm back at the edge or border of my document. And now the last thing we'll cover is using SmartArt. SmartArt will help you do add some emphasis into certain items on your document if you want to draw emphasis to that, such as if you're creating a timeline or process steps, or if you're going to put a list in there and you don't want to just have a just a standard bulleted list. You can use SmartArt for this as well. So let's use a sample list. Let's say we want to advertise our progression of how we are going to do training for using Office Suite. So let's just say we have a list here. Word, we'll say Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, and Microsoft Access for the database features. So let's go ahead and select this list. And there's a few different ways you can do this. I can right click on this and I could make it into Smart Art. I can go up here and select the tab. You use what you prefer when it comes to this. Now if you're taking a certification exam, make sure you know the way that Microsoft wants you to do this, because sometimes it will take off points if you don't follow the way that they want you to follow. So to know which way to do it correctly, we should probably start with that. So let's delete what we have here. And we will simply go to the Insert tab. We're going to go to the Illustrations group, click Smart Art. We'll select one. We're going to do a list. We could do a process, a cycle. If you're doing a hierarchy, such as with an organizational hierarchy chart, then you could use that. So lots of different ones you can use here. We're going to use a process, and we'll select this continuous process block so that as we progress through the Office Suite. So we'll select this, hit OK, and here we can start typing in our text. We'll just say Word here. If we wanted to add another one, another list, we could. So we can add a shape. We'll say after. Now we have 4, so we can type in here Outlook, then we said PowerPoint, and we'll just do Excel. Now we have our Smart Art. We can change the colors of our Smart Art. We can do all kinds of things here. You can see up here we can change colors by going to the Smart Tools Design group, and let's just say we're going to give a little bit more flavor. We're going to try to stick, we could stick with our blue here. Got a few different shades here, so we'll select this one. We can resize, we can reposition. Let's say we want to change our styles. We can do that up here. We'll give this a little bit more of an embossed look. We can select that. Like I said, we can resize this, we can reposition it. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. Just like with any other object, we can do that. And let's just say we decide, you know what, we can save that for a follow-up later. Just like any other object, we can just select it, delete it, and it's gone. I know we covered a lot here with our continued studies on our introduction to Microsoft Word 2019. You will find out that a lot of these skills can be utilized in the other parts of the Microsoft Office Suite. So I hope you found the information helpful and that you go out and you practice these new skills. Take care, everyone. Thank you.